That bastard. Isaac's voice was full of fury, causing Ruby to flinch at his strong reaction. She felt guilty, as if this whole incident was partly her fault. Bowing her head, she said softly, I didn't know Cheza had such a plan. She placed her hand gently on Isaac's face, hoping to soothe him somehow. It sounds unbelievable, but can you believe me? That was all Ruby could wish for now. Isaac's trust. Isaac's gaze softened as he looked at the woman he loved. Silly. Of course I'll believe you. I always believe you, he replied. There was no need for flowery words. Just looking into his eyes, Ruby could understand the depth of his feelings for her. Isaac pulled Ruby into a tight embrace. This woman he wanted to protect and care for from now until forever, was his heart's desire. He would find a way not to lose her again. Ruby's feelings mirrored his, the love and devotion equally matched. Isaac, I'll go with you too. If the monsters attack, maybe I can help somehow. Ruby's voice was filled with determination. But Isaac couldn't allow his beloved to join such a dangerous battle. Ruby, about that. Just then, a soldier hurriedly burst into the room shouting, Emergency! Monsters are appearing everywhere in Arendelle. There's even an ice dragon flying toward the moon tower. The news sent shockwaves through everyone. Commander Linus has ordered an immediate assembly. Everyone must hurry. Ruby's heart raced. Is it Yongyong? She thought. But Isaac quickly reassured her. It's one of your runaway friends, right? He said softly. Don't worry, I won't kill it. I'll just knock it unconscious until it's near death. Ruby's worry deepened. Isaac, no, you can't. Isaac, of course, wouldn't allow her to go. If your abilities are discovered by others, it could be dangerous for you. Ruby, however, wasn't concerned about herself. She only worried for Isaac. But you're injured. Before she could finish, Isaac decisively pushed Ruby toward Ellen. Ellen, take Ruby out of here and find shelter. He turned to the other warriors. Karas, completely block off the area around the moon tower to ensure no one else can attack the ice dragon. Karas hesitated. But Commander Linus has already ordered an assembly. Isaac's expression remained unchanged. Gaia, along with the others, split up and searched throughout the town. Gather all the mockstones you can find. Demian, protect Ruby with everything you've got. Isaac's decision was reckless. The attack on the ice dragon would be carried out only by Ivan and him. Having given his orders, he immediately left, blood-soaked sword in hand. Ruby couldn't hold back her emotions. No, you're seriously injured. Her voice cracked as she shouted after him. But Isaac didn't turn back, offering only a smile, a silent promise that she should trust him. In the pouring rain, the warriors prepared for battle. Ellen, though understanding Ruby's heartache, knew that staying would make Isaac's sacrifice meaningless. Ruby, we have to go now. Time's running out. Ruby's mind was clouded with worry, her only thoughts of Isaac. His words kept echoing in her mind. Where your friends are, you want to be by my side forever. The more she thought about it, the more guilty she felt. I shouldn't have done that, she thought. After all, Yongyong will try to kill Isaac. Just thinking of Isaac, covered in blood with his breath weak, made Ruby's chest tighten. She couldn't bear it. In the chaos of evacuating people, Ruby stopped. Ellen and Demian rushed to her. My lady, there's no more time. We have to hurry, Demian urged, panic in his voice. But Ruby had made up her mind. I have to go to Isaac. Only I can do this. Ellen and Demian were confused. What do you mean, only you? Demian asked, his expression troubled. The monsters are bewitched by mockstones. They've lost all reason. It's too dangerous right now. Even the ice dragon is no exception. Ruby took a deep breath. And you know, Sir Demian, I'm the only one who can resolve this situation. Demian's eyes widened. You? Ellen, still in the dark, turned to Demian. I don't understand. What are you talking about? Demian hesitated, not knowing whether to speak, but Ruby interrupted. I'll explain everything later. Right now, you two evacuate everyone first. Ellen, reluctant to let Ruby go into such danger, tried to reason with her. Ruby, in this situation, where are you going? Ruby couldn't stay behind when Isaac was in danger. She had made up her mind. When this is over, I'll explain everything, I promise, but right now, I have to help Isaac. Ellen, her eyes filled with concern, reluctantly agreed. Okay, but you have to trust me too. You're right. Isaac only allowed Ivan to go with him. He probably plans to deal with the ice dragon himself. I don't know what you're planning to do, or why someone in a bad situation with my brother would make that choice, Ellen said, her voice tinged with concern. She knew that Isaac and Ruby always thought of each other, and they were also the two people she loved most. Perhaps her decision to let them go would help them both get through this battle, but Ellen couldn't shake her worry. I don't want my brother to get hurt, and I don't want Ruby to face the same thing. So, I'll go with you too. Ruby was surprised by Ellen's decision, but was incredibly grateful. Thank you so much, Ellen. Ellen could only sigh in response. How could I stop Ruby? But even as she spoke, she knew their intentions were too risky. Endymion, we're going into danger, Ellen added, her voice filled with concern. If we encounter monsters, the princess could also be at risk. And? Demian glanced at her with a worried expression. How could I forget? Absolutely not. But what is the princess thinking? She hasn't been trained like me. Before Ellen could respond, an earth-shattering roar echoed through the air. The monsters were getting closer. Ruby immediately recognized it. It's the ice dragon's roar, she said urgently. First, let's go back the way we came. Be careful. Without further delay, the two women pushed against the flow of evacuating people, making their way toward the danger. Demian stood frozen for a moment, torn between his duty and his growing concern. Can I protect both of them? His internal conflict was evident, but he quickly resolved himself. I'm Sir Isaac's man. There's nothing I can't do. Meanwhile, Freya was hurriedly evacuating with the crowd, her mind racing with questions. What did I just see? She wondered. Could all of this be a dream? Why was she so miserable, so different from the woman I knew? Just then, Ruby's group of 3 passed by. Freya's eyes widened as she saw Ruby running back in the opposite direction. Even Lorenzo was stunned. Why are they going back there? Freya knew something mysterious was at play. Ever since she saw Isaac and Ruby together, she had suspected there was more to their bond than she realized. Lorenzo, ever the pragmatic one, grabbed his sister's arm. If that's where she's headed, it's clear something's not right. I don't know what she's relying on, but this chaos. You don't want to sacrifice yourself in the sea of fire, do you? Freya's resolve hardened. I'm not like someone. I love myself more than anything. Meanwhile, the royal soldiers arrived at the moon tower in the pouring rain, the dragon's massive form looming above them. It's bigger than we imagined, someone murmured, fear in their voice. Damn it, the ice dragon's power is overwhelming, Karas said, watching the monster with grim determination. Amidst the thunder and lightning, the dragon's power crackled menacingly. Karas approached the guard, his eyes sharp. Is the entire palace blocked off? Completely, the guard confirmed. Karas's eyes burned with resolve. Good. All right, listen up. The 1st Legion will lead the Royal Guard and assist with evacuating the people. The 3rd Legion will handle the monsters throughout the village, and the 2nd Legion will blockade the entire area around the palace to prevent anyone from getting too close. He turned to Barnos. The 4th Legion will hide behind the moon tower. When the 5th Legion lures the ice dragon out, the 4th will use grappling hooks to pull it down and attack. I'll lead the 5th. Understood, Barnes replied. Karas felt conflicted. Isaac had given him strict orders to prevent anyone from approaching the moon tower. But why, Karas wondered. Isaac doesn't want to kill the dragon because it's his wife's friend. But if I follow the captain's orders... Damn it, Karas thought. Why does this feel so wrong? The voice of his comrade broke through his thoughts. Haven't you been listening to the captain's orders? We need to move. The situation is urgent. Karas could feel the pressure mounting. I can't keep stalling. He scanned the area and, seeing a bridge nearby, shouted, "Look! The bridge is about to collapse. We have to revise the plan." His comrades looked at him skeptically. "It looks fine to me." Karas persisted. "The monsters have damaged it. We can't waste any more time." But his excuse didn't fool anyone. "Damn it," he thought again. "I wish Isaac were here. At least then I'd have an excuse for stalling." A crashing sound from behind pulled him out of his frustration. The monsters were attacking. Karas could only brace himself. What now? Just then, Ivan arrived at the scene, surveying the destruction. "This place is a mess. I see mock stones scattered everywhere. The minions have been dealt with?" Isaac nodded grimly. "Yes." Cardinal Valentin admitted to hiding mock stones everywhere. Elon scowled. "That royal bastard. He really is crazy." Isaac's expression was cold. "Yes, but he almost killed the Pope's son. The situation could still end in our favour." Ivan raised an eyebrow. "So, just the two of us are going to handle this?" Isaac's response was as reckless as ever. "Yes, I'm going to take it down myself. You'll stop anyone who tries to attack the ice dragon from the outside." Ivan stared at him, stunned. "In your condition, you're really going to do this alone?" Isaac's answer was simple. "I'm counting on you, Ivan." Ivan, understanding Isaac's unwavering resolve, handed him his sword. "Take it. You can't defeat it with that broken sword." Isaac accepted it with gratitude. "Thank you." Ivan smiled. "No need for thanks. I heard that dragon's one of your lady's friends. I guess I'm doing this for her, too." Isaac, taking full responsibility, nodded. "I'll carry the burden. Just keep the others away." "I only made my own choices," Isaac muttered, his voice strained. Yet Ivan understood his best friend well enough. "I know you, brat," Ivan replied, shaking his head. "But honestly, I'm not confident. I've only ever killed monsters. Now I have to spare their lives. After this, the captain will definitely have us killed. Your father, too, and even His Highness." Just as he finished speaking, Barnos appeared above them, shouting in frustration. "Isaac van Omerta, where are you going in that state? Stop!" Ivan looked back at Barnos and answered bravely, "Commander, how can I do that? Even Duke Omerta has nothing left to say to his son. Earlier, that brat almost killed the Pope's eldest son. I had to intervene. My daughter-in-law was injured for no reason. Before we could even rest, monsters attacked, fighting like madmen. Then I had to watch my son run around, covered in blood, and now the ice dragon's attacking unexpectedly." The Duke couldn't understand why everything seemed to spiral out of control. "How can I handle this?" As if on cue, the commander shouted, "Duke, look, the ice dragon is moving." Both the Duke and the captain knew immediately who the dragon's target was. "Damn it," the Duke muttered. Isaac stopped. The ice dragon had landed directly in front of Isaac, and the battle between man and beast was officially underway. The elite troops were ready, arrows aimed at the dragon. But just as they were about to fire, they froze. "Stop!" someone shouted. "Commander, Ivan is blocking the way." Barnes's fury was palpable. "Ivan, what the hell are you doing?" But Ivan had made his choice. He stood firm. "Commander, please wait just a moment. It'll be over soon. Trust our elite troops." Barnos hesitated, his fury mixing with confusion. What are they doing? Is Isaac really planning to face the ice dragon alone? Does he realize how powerful that creature is? Isaac never underestimated the dragon's power. But for his wife Ruby, he was willing to sacrifice everything. He would face this savage beast for her. His strength was waning. Isaac's condition was deteriorating, and the magic to stop his bleeding had worn off. He could feel himself growing weaker by the second. "I need to defeat it quickly," Isaac thought, gritting his teeth. "Only then can I return to Ruby, the woman I would give my life to protect. We'll have a life together, away from all this, in a peaceful place with our friends by our side. That's why I'm doing this. Meanwhile, Ruby's group of 3 was nearing the moon tower, where the battle raged. Ruby's face was full of worry as she ran. She prayed she wouldn't end up serving her master until death. The battle between Isaac and the ice dragon was reaching its peak. Isaac's condition worsened, but Ruby's heart burned with determination. She had to reach him. As she ran, the scene before her was almost too much to bear. Monsters soaring in the sky, the battle intensifying with each passing moment. Despite their best efforts, the monsters showed no signs of weakening. Just as Ruby and Ellen were about to exit the gate, the intensity of the battle outside grew even fiercer. A hand suddenly stopped them. It was Karaz. "It's dangerous ahead. You two—" Karaz froze when he saw them. "Princess, my lady, didn't you two go to the shelter? What are you doing here?" "Ellen, what the hell are you doing? I don't have time to explain. Get out of the way." Hearing Ellen's sharp command, Kara still tried to stop them. "Where are you going in this situation?" "This is a request from Lady Allah." Karaz's persistence felt inappropriate given the circumstances, but he couldn't stop himself. "Monsters are constantly appearing. It's really dangerous here." His stubbornness made Ellen lose her patience. With a flick of her wrist, she summoned a small amount of her divine power, reducing a dying monster on the ground to ashes. Karaz stared at her, wide-eyed. Did the princess just use divine power? "You don't need to worry, Sir Karaz," Ellen said, her voice calm. "But I think the most reassured people right now are probably Ruby and Andean." Both of them looked at Ellen as if they had seen a goddess. One was so surprised their jaw dropped, while the other's eyes lit up like headlights. Ruby paused for a moment, remembering Ellen's words. "Have you forgotten that I'm also an Omerta?" It clicked. This was what Ellen had meant. Despite his worry, Karaz still insisted, "I can't let you go out there." But Ruby, her eyes pleading, stayed silent. She didn't need to say a word. Her gaze was enough. Karaz bowed his head, a long silence hanging between them. He finally relented. "All right, but you two have to get through quickly." Ruby clasped her hands together in gratitude. She understood. Karaz had only stopped them out of concern for their safety. Just seconds ago, Karaz had been touched by the clear sky, but now he turned sharply. "These bastards dare block the way of the young master and his wife." Before they were surrounded, he quickly barked orders. "Be ready to move to the designated location. We need to act fast." He led them to the bridge. "Go straight across this bridge, then take the long bridge to the right of the moon tower. After that, you'll find Isaac, confronting the ice dragon." Ruby, Ellen, and Andean quickly departed, their mission clear. As they left, Karaz stayed behind, watching their figures fade into the distance. "Hey, Ellen," Ruby asked quietly, "so you can use divine power?" "Yes," Ellen replied, her voice steady. "Because I am also an Omerta. The divine blood of Omerta still flows within me. After my mother passed away, my father taught me to protect myself, to survive in this harsh land." Ellen seemed like she wanted to say more, but her breath became shallow and her steps began to falter. Ruby immediately noticed the change. Within moments, Ellen's condition worsened. She stumbled and collapsed. "I'm fine," Ellen murmured, clutching her head. "It's just a side effect." "What side effect?" Ruby asked, her heart sinking. At this point, Ellen couldn't hide it anymore. To use divine power, I had to undergo the elf ceremony with the church, but I haven't performed the ritual yet. That's why I'm experiencing these side effects. Ruby's heart broke for Ellen. She knew the sacrifice it took to wield such power, and it hurt to see her so vulnerable. Suddenly, Ruby felt as though it was her fault. I'm sorry, it's my fault," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Ellen held Ruby's hand tightly. "It's not because of you, Ruby. I did this because I have to protect my family." The more Ellen spoke, the harder Ruby cried. Ellen, gazing at her sister-in-law with affection, couldn't help but feel the weight of the situation. Meanwhile, far away in the rain, Petro was being tortured by Gilla's men. His body was bruised and bloodied, yet he remained defiant. Gilla drew his sword and pressed it to Petro's throat. "Where is the mock stone, Petro?" Petro's condition was grim, but he still refused to break. His face, battered and swollen, showed no fear. "Don't you dare hide it anymore," Gilla growled. "If you don't know, then who does?" Despite the beating and threats, Petro maintained a contemptuous attitude, continuing to deny every question. After several failed attempts to get answers, Gilla grew impatient. "No more beating around the bush," he said, putting away his sword. "You're coming with us, whether you like it or not. We know who your master is." But Petro, with a smirk, retorted, "Master? The Northern Knights? They're good for nothing. If I tell you that, you'll torture me for more, won't you? Well, go ahead. Waste your time." It was clear now that Petro wasn't just tough, he was skilled at playing mind games. His constant taunting was only buying him time. "It's pointless," one of Gilla's men muttered. "We should tie him up and throw him in the dungeon." The rain grew heavier. The distance from where they captured Petro to the dungeon was far, and, as the dark clouds loomed overhead, Petro recalled his master's warning. "Remember, Petro, if anything happens, that place will be where your life ends. Your life belongs to me. Do you understand?" Petro, bloodied and broken, slowly looked up at the sky. His eyes closed, tightly trying to block out the inevitable. He knew his time was running out. He coughed up blood but quickly wiped it away, steeling himself for what was to come. Back at the battlefield, Isaac was struggling to stand. The ice dragon, unharmed and enraged, charged toward him, ready to strike. Isaac, barely able to resist, seemed to have resigned himself to the inevitable. Then, just as the dragon closed in to devour him, a powerful force intervened. It was Ivan, arriving just in time. If he had been even a second later, Isaac might not have made it. Isaac's childhood friend watched in confusion as Isaac continued to fight recklessly. Ivan had already wounded the monster with a powerful blow, but Isaac seemed determined to sacrifice himself. The monster, enraged, began spitting destructive orbs, intensifying the fight. Ivan knew this wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a battle that could end Isaac's life if he wasn't careful. Just then, Ruby, Ellen, and Andean arrived, and Ruby's heart sank at the sight of Isaac's struggle. Her voice broke as she called out his name, her worry evident. Isaac, despite his weakened state, heard Ruby's frantic calls. He responded, his voice faint but clear. Seeing his wife running toward him despite the danger only made Isaac's resolve stronger. Ellen and Andean tried to stop Ruby, but how could anyone stand by and watch their loved one in such a state? Ruby ran, every step driven by the urgency of the moment. Her shoes faltered, but she didn't care. Nothing mattered except reaching Isaac. From afar, Ivan's strength was waning, his divine power was depleted, and his shield, his last line of defense, shattered under the dragon's assault. "Sorry, Isaac," Ivan gasped, stumbling. "My divine power is exhausted. The shield broke." Isaac, barely able to stand, nodded. "I know." The ice dragon, now injured, saw an opportunity. Gathering its strength, it created a massive ice ball in its mouth. Isaac, summoning the last of his energy, leapt toward the dragon, aiming for its bleeding spot. The battle was reaching its climax. Isaac's strength was all but gone, and he knew prolonging the fight was a risk he couldn't afford. As he struck, the dragon roared in agony, trying to flee. Ruby, from afar, watched in terror as the dragon spiraled toward the ground. It seemed to be trying to shake Isaac off, but he held on with everything he had, his grip tightening on the sword. The dragon crashed to the ground, scattering ice shards everywhere. The smoke enveloped the area, and the once feared creature lay still. Ivan, hidden behind a block of ice, was unharmed. "Did it finally succeed?" Ivan murmured. But as he ran to check, he froze. Isaac was buried under the rubble. A shadow passed quickly in front of him, Ruby, rushing toward her husband. She frantically dug through the ice, calling Isaac's name, tears streaming down her face. "No, Isaac, please, wake up." But when she uncovered his face, Ruby stopped. Isaac's bloodied expression broke her heart. Her hands trembled as she reached for him, pulling him close, her cries growing louder with each passing second. She called out to Ivan, her voice desperate. "Ivan, quickly, get help!" Ivan nodded, his face grim. "Madame, I'll fetch a medic." As he ran off, Ruby stroked Isaac's cold face, her heart breaking for her husband. She felt helpless, her every thought consumed by the pain of not being able to protect him. Her warm hand touched his cheek, but it felt like nothing could ease the weight in her heart. Meanwhile, the ice dragon was struggling, growling in pain. Its anguished cries drew Ruby's attention. She turned quickly, her eyes locking with the dragon's, but this time, its gaze was not filled with the fury it had shown earlier. Ruby slowly approached the dragon, gently stroking its nose. "I'm sorry, young one," she murmured. "You're hurt too, aren't you? You've been forced into this. It's not your fault. Yet everyone wants to attack you." The dragon seemed to listen, its eyes softening. "You've been so obedient," Ruby continued, her voice filled with regret. "I'm truly sorry. From now on, I won't let anyone hurt you anymore. But you must promise me you won't threaten humans again, okay?" The ice dragon let out a few soft growls, as if understanding her words. It nuzzled Ruby gently, and for a brief moment it felt as if the world had paused. Ruby leaned her head affectionately against the dragon, whispering that she had missed it. When she opened her eyes, Ruby realized that soldiers had arrived and were now watching her, Isaac, and the dragon. A familiar voice broke the tension. Ruby turned and quickly ran to Isaac, who was now regaining consciousness. She supported him as he slowly sat up, his gaze fixed on the dragon. His eyes were filled with sadness, a sorrow that tugged at Ruby's heart. Isaac, despite his pain, tried to comfort his wife. "Everything's all right now," he said softly, his voice strained. "Don't worry about what people say." Ruby's heart ached as she watched him, the tears in her eyes threatening to spill over. "Isaac, why are you like this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why do you risk your life for me?" Isaac struggled to raise his hand, brushing his fingers against her face. "I told you, Ruby, I'm always on your side." With each word Isaac spoke, Ruby's tears flowed more freely. She took his hand in both of hers, holding it tightly before pulling him into an embrace. "You're such a fool," she whispered, her voice breaking. Far away, Duke Omer had witnessed everything, his heart heavy with sympathy. Seeing the couple in such pain made him feel helpless, but there was nothing he could do. In an illusion, Isaac stood barefoot in front of a grave. A sword was lodged in the earth, marking the spot. As he approached, the figure in the grave became clearer. The woman lying there looked strangely familiar, and as Isaac looked into her eyes, he realized they were still open, as though calling his name. It was a nightmare. Isaac's breath hitched as he rubbed his forehead, trying to shake off the feeling. This wasn't the first time he had dreamed of this woman. The face was eerily similar to Ruby's, yet there was something subtly different about her. Something Isaac couldn't quite place. Shaken, Isaac placed his hand on the bed, taking a moment to collect himself. Just then, Butler Rattler approached his room, reaching the door, but Isaac didn't notice. His mind was still lost in the haunting dream. Isaac suddenly flinched as he woke, disoriented. "Young master, you've finally woken up. We're so happy for you." The butler's voice was filled with relief. Isaac looked around, his eyes searching until they landed on the person he most wanted to see. He turned to the butler, his voice hoarse. "Where's Ruby?" His gaze never wavered, focusing only on her. Before he could receive an answer, a familiar voice called out, "Isaac, you're awake." Ruby, in simple pajamas and a bandage wrapped around her head, hurried over to him. Isaac watched her struggle to support him, amazed that despite her injuries she had come all this way. "You're hurt, yet you came all the way here." Seeing Ruby standing before him, Isaac let go of his cane, instinctively pulling her into a tight hug. "Ruby, I was afraid you'd disappear." Ruby rested her head against his chest, speaking softly. "I never left your side while you were sleeping. I went to the bathroom for a moment, but I didn't expect you to wake up so soon." Isaac, still weak, glanced up at her with a question. "What day is it?" he asked, trying to orient himself. It had been 3 days since he lost consciousness, as Sergi had explained. He had exhausted too much divine power and lost too much blood, needing time to recover. Even Isaac, strong as he was. Ruby continued talking, but Isaac's mind was far away, consumed by the memory of when he had collapsed. That moment had been terrifying. His hand reached up to gently stroke Ruby's hair. "Why haven't you told me about all of this?" Isaac's question was unexpected, and Ruby was caught off guard. She paused, unsure how to respond at first. After a moment she softly said, "I was afraid you'd change, like everyone else. When those illusions faded, so did their feelings. They all turned away from me." Ruby had carried these words for so long, but never had the courage to voice them. She hadn't wanted to burden Isaac with her fears, but now she spoke them aloud. "My family's notorious, and before all those rumors about me and Cheza, I was already hated by so many. I didn't want you to feel like them." Isaac listened in silence, taking in her words. Ruby couldn't bring herself to meet his gaze. She felt embarrassed, a flush creeping onto her cheeks. "Don't look at me like that," she murmured, trying to divert his attention. "It's not your fault." Isaac, sensing her unease, reached for her hand. "Actually, since we were in the stables, I had a feeling something was off, but I couldn't bring myself to ask you directly. I was afraid that if I pushed too hard, you'd vanish, and your feelings for me would disappear too. So I tried to figure it out on my own." Ruby's eyes were filled with sorrow as she listened. Isaac's voice trembled with raw emotion. "When I saw you in front of him, you seemed like a completely different person. It was like everything I felt until then had been a lie. Because you didn't seem worried. You didn't try to hide anything." Ruby's heart clenched as she heard his words, and for a moment she felt a pang of loss. "It's because I've endured so much because of Cheza, I reacted instinctively," she explained, her voice quiet. "Did you think I was pretending to like you?" Isaac's expression turned serious. Fear and affection are completely different things. But maybe I was just like everyone else, selfish, afraid of losing you. When I saw you smile in front of him, I felt a strange relief. I thought losing you would be worse than death, so I held on to that foolishness. But in doing so, I made you suffer." Ruby shook her head. "It's not like that, Isaac. You gave me the laurel wreath, even when it could have caused misunderstandings. You still trusted me." Isaac held her hand gently, his voice filled with tenderness. "You were just protecting yourself, Ruby. You didn't know how to trust. But none of this was your fault. I chose to love you. Everything I did because I wanted to give you the best I could." The warmth of Isaac's love overwhelmed Ruby, and she couldn't hold back her tears. They embraced each other tightly, both lost in the depth of their emotions. After a long moment, Ruby spoke again, her voice soft but resolute. "Isaac, you've helped me break free from the chains I put on myself. You gave me a chance to start over, to be reborn. And now, the first person I want in this new life is you." Isaac's eyes shone with emotion as he looked at her. Finally, after so much hardship, Ruby was by his side, safe and whole. "Ruby, being the first person you want in your life is my honor. My life only has meaning with you in it." He held her tightly, as if to promise he would never let go. "I swear, before God, I will do everything in my power to make you happy, so that the only tears you shed are tears of joy, I swear to protect you until my last breath." And so, despite all the trials and challenges they had faced, Isaac and Ruby's love became a force that could not be broken. What had started as a forced marriage ended in a love more powerful than either of them had ever imagined. Thank you for listening to the story. If you enjoyed, please give it a like, and subscribe if you want to see more manhwa recaps. Let me know what stories you'd like to see next. And one last big thank you to everyone that left some really nice words of encouragement and really kept me motivated to keep posting these stories for everyone to enjoy. Until next time, bye-bye.